we can utilize for ourselves. But I just want to maintain, be cognizant of your surroundings and make sure that you are aware of what is taking place around you. It might mean the difference in any situation.
Thank you, Dawn Marie Richards. Thank you, Claudette Clark War. Thank you, Percival Roberts. All the best to all three of you this evening. That's my time here on Lead Story. Good evening.
CVM News at Noon. It's Tuesday, May 20, 2025. I'm Courtney Lewis. Thank you so much for joining us. A collision between a motor vehicle and a truck occurred at 7 this morning along the main road in Trial, Hanover. Sources indicated to our news team that the driver of the motor car lost control of his vehicle, resulting in the crash. The driver of the car is said to be hospitalized in a critical state.
Upon arrival, we observed a passenger trapped inside a vehicle. We had to commence extrication, remove the patient from the vehicle. The patient was transported to the hospital, Noel Holmes Hospital. So within 10 minutes, the person was out of the vehicle and on his way to the hospital. The vehicle lost control and collided with an international truck, causing a massive oil spill. Hence the reason for this traffic build-up here right now, that we are trying to clean up and get traffic flowing smoothly.
In response to the recent acts of violence against women and children, Prime Minister Andrew Holness has directed key ministers to accelerate the passage of pending legislation aimed at enhancing the protection of women and girls. He also confirmed that a review of the report prepared by the National Commission for Violence Prevention is currently underway ahead of its public release.
Today, the Cabinet received a report from the Minister of National Security on recent incidents of violence against women and children. We noted that as organized violence in the form of murders and serious crimes is declining significantly, domestic violence and gender-based violence is increasingly a cause for concern. And as Prime Minister, I condemn these attacks on our women and children. Your government has been working on a comprehensive approach to tackle violence generally in our society, and we now have the report of the National Commission on the Prevention of Violence, which was chaired by esteemed Professor Maureen Sams-Vaughan. This report will be reviewed by the Cabinet next week and thereafter shared with stakeholders and the wider public. I've also directed the relevant ministers to fast-track all pending legislation or policy that could improve the protection and security of our women and girls. Perpetrators should know that the government and the society speaks with one clear voice against violence.
The People's National Party is affirming its commitment to restoring morality through collaboration with civil society and churches. PNP leader Mark Golding, while speaking at a party meeting in Clarendon at the weekend, says the current administration has not done enough to curb the violence against women and children.
Next PNP government will initiate a process of moral revival in the country, working closely with civil society and the churches and other persons of good reputation and good standing to really try to deal with the situation that we see unfolding, where women and children are being abused and murdered in this country. To see a nurse being violated on a public road. To hear about a 9-year-old girl raped and murdered. Other girls, other students going missing. Body found. It's happening too much, comrades. We brought legislation, which I was instrumental in formulating under Sister P towards the end of our last term in government. We tabled 2 bills which would have increased significantly the penalties applicable to violence against women and children. And this government has done nothing with them in their 9 years. We have a plan to build out centers in every parish where victims of gender-based violence, domestic violence can find some safety and security and support. Because we have to change the culture around how we deal with these matters.
Amid concerns of a lack of unity in regional cooperation, Montego Bay Mayor Richard Vernon calls for a new approach.
Mayor of Montego Bay, Richard Vernon, says there's urgent need for artificial intelligence within regional corporations. Without this implementation, he adds, the country is at risk of being left behind.
And as we look at the information age, the technological age, the many conversations about artificial intelligence, we have to pivot. We have to step into this new or risk being left behind. No country is going to wait on us to catch up. We have to take the initiative to understand what is happening around us and adjust to it.
Mayor Vernon also believes by implementing artificial intelligence, crisis response platforms could improve.
We can also not just imagine, but work towards AI-driven crisis response platform that automatically assesses disaster severity and dispatches fire and rescue teams accordingly, using real-time crisis mapping, drones, and predictive analytics. Emergency personnel who receive precise instructions, for example, eliminating guesswork and reducing chaos during disaster. We must start thinking smart emergency response systems.
He also mentioned by creating a Caribbean Emergency Response Hub, it will ensure swifter emergency actions.
This hub would be linked to all Caribbean fire departments, ensuring a swift and coordinated response when disasters strike. And we'll have this set up instead of scrambling for resources. This hub will serve as the go-to deployment center, ensuring immediate action whenever disasters are upon us. Its operation will be supported by all Caribbean nations, turning our small-sized regional vulnerability into regional strength.
The mayor was speaking at the Caribbean Association of Fire Chiefs Conference recently.
Stay with us, more to come after the break.
Tiles and get creative with your floors, walls, and all the spaces in between. Our knowledgeable sales consultants are happy to help create your beautiful finish with the latest designs in first quality porcelain, wood look, vinyl, mosaics, natural stones, and countertops. At Creative, you will get every tile you need for your residential or commercial projects. Creative Building Finishes, your one-stop shop for everything tiles. Visit our showroom at 5 Red Hills Road or call 876-929-5553. Get tiles, get creative.
We love our country. Like you, we take pride in building Jamaica. The resilience of our people is cemented in our products, built to last for generations. Laying the foundation for thriving communities, we're committed to excellence and quality. Quality products, quality relationships. We're all proud Jamaicans, working hard, doing good, building a sustainable future for all. That same unbeatable spirit runs through us. We are made of Jamaica.
Hey you know all the people in your business?
You should take advantage of CVM TV's unbeatable small business advertising package. Trust me.
And get your goods and services in front of your customers today.
For $150,000, you get a high-quality professional commercial.
Plus 20 prime-time commercial spots.
That's massive exposure at a fraction of the cost.
Including on the #1 morning show in Jamaica, Sunrise.
So don't wait. Call us on 658-208-5377 and see your business goals happen right here on CVM Television.
So, I'm sure you took her to a doctor, and what did he say?
He said that she had a hole in her heart. She's a blue baby.
I thought I would find my papa, but I didn't. I found Uncle Jungly instead.
I will divorce her. It's what you want.
Ganga.
Brought to you by
Hyundai or Hyundai.
Welcome back. It's time now for our discussion segment. Now, there has been growing concern in recent days about violence, particularly incidents occurring on our nation's roads. Just recently, a healthcare provider fell victim to a violent case of road rage. Joining us today to discuss these incidents often witnessed on our roads are Dante Matthews, Corporate Communications and Public Relations Manager at the Island Traffic Authority, and Dr. Paul Smith, Clinical Psychologist and Southern Regional Director for the Jamaican Psychological Society. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me. Good afternoon for having me, and good afternoon to all the viewers.
Good afternoon. Now, we begin. What are the most common triggers of road rage in Jamaica?
Who's that question for?
I think this one is for you, Mr. Matthews.
All right. So there are many triggers when we think about road rage. We have stress is one, and I'm sure Dr. Smith will talk about that. We also have impatience, persons trying to get to a destination within a certain time, and they may have left home late, so they're trying to rush. There's also traffic delays that can cause persons to want to maybe switch lanes. It could also be due to other road users. So, for example, a pedestrian might walk out into the road and a driver might be upset at the fact that the pedestrian walks out into the road, or another driver, as we call it, bad drive them, trying to cut in front of them, or a driver stops in front of them, and that causes a problem. So those are some of the triggers.
So how does the Island Traffic Authority incorporate road safety education to help prevent aggressive driving behaviors like road rage?
All right, so we have an active public education awareness program, not just in schools, but we also go to corporate entities or companies that have a fleet of drivers. So from time to time, we go to these companies that have sessions, not just on the Road Traffic Act, about the road code, about road safety. And a part of that presentation is different tips about distracted driving, fatigue driving, even defensive driving. We talk about that as well. And defensive driving is very important, because what I like to tell people is that defensive driving doesn't mean you defend yourself because somebody bad drives you. It deals with planning, controlling, acting, and having that guiding control around the vehicle. So we do have those programs.
So how important, or what role does driver training programs and even licensing requirements play in preparing drivers to manage the stress that you mentioned earlier and avoid some aggressive responses?
All right. So It is very important because it's not just about getting the driver's license, but about knowing how to operate a vehicle once you have that driver's license, right? And for example, a government driver or a person seeking to drive government vehicles will need to be certified by the Island Traffic Authority or go through a session with the Island Traffic Authority before they can drive government vehicles. And as I mentioned earlier, the defensive driving sessions are part of our public education platform. Let's look at, for example, persons who want to operate commercial vehicles. You know that when you're operating commercial vehicles, you drive long distances. So sometimes you get tired, fatigue, distractions, all of that. And so that is one of the reasons why under the new Road Traffic Act, if you are looking to upgrade to a Class B or a Class C driver's license from a Class B, you have to wait 3 years because they want to ensure that you have enough training and enough experience before you can take on these commercial vehicles or even public passenger vehicles.
Right. So we take a quick break. We're still in our discussion segment. When we'll be back, we hear from Dr. Smith.
The Time is brought to you by Ford Territory.
Excuse me, that looks delicious. Where did you get that pizza?
Pizza, please. Best pizza in town.
Pizza Please, the widest variety of pizzas in Jamaica. Grab a slice or order a whole pie. Find us at 4 locations across Kingston and Ocho Rios and at pizzapleaseja.com. Pizza Please, Italian pizzas, Jamaican flavors.
Thanks so much for staying with us. We're still in our discussion segment and we're talking road rage in Jamaica. Now, we just heard from Mr. Matthews from the Island Traffic Authority, and we're going to switch a little bit to the behavioral side of it. Now, Dr. Smith, in what ways can road rage be seen as learned behavior, and how might long-term habits or even social influences contribute to this?
Okay, so if it's going to be a learned behavior, a prime example is that persons will honk the horn in traffic, believing that when they do this, then others will speed up, others will get out of the way. So it's just as others who might block the road and do other things, believing that that's the attention that they will get from the authorities. The same thing applies psychologically, socially to these persons who believe that doing certain things, intimidating others, shouting expletives and tail driving, it will elicit a particular response that will satisfy how they're feeling. So it's a learned behavior. I might add to what Mr. Matthews said. He said it quite well. But another aspect of it is what we call cognitive distortion. So somebody might feel wrong, a Jim might feel wrong on the road, and he's saying to himself that I'm going to tail drive the person, I'm going to attack the person because the person deserves to be attacked, right? The person did me wrong. And so we construct some things in the head, and we go ahead and tell others that you deserve what I'm going to mete out to you because you have done me wrong. And socially speaking, we are being cultured that aggression might just be the way out. So we do not learn to reason. We do not use emotional regulation. And so we yell and we shout and we become angry because that is the way we think that justice will be served for us. So that happens on the road as well.
Dr. Smith, it's great that you mentioned regulating emotions, because I just want to ask you, how important or what role does emotional intelligence play in preventing road rage, and how can drivers develop greater self-awareness and control behind the wheel?
Yes, so we have to be self-aware, and we have to look out for our triggers and try to deal with our triggers, right? So there are persons with anger issues, for example. You know, we have to be able to tell ourselves that, you know, I have to respect the other person. Emotional regulation is good, but it's also being sensitive as to how others might feel. Because there are times when persons might innocently bad drive us, for example, and instead of saying that it might just be an innocent gesture, you know, we allow the emotions to get the better of us. We become overwhelmed by anger, and then we become physical as well, which is unfortunate. But there are times we become very verbally abusive, and, you know, if time allows or if the situation escalates, then it becomes physical. So we have to be aware of our triggers. What gets me angry? How do I respond to a particular situation on the road? And we constantly have it at the forefront of our minds that, you know, emotional regulation is the way to go, because it will keep us out of